Greetings again, brothers. This is Waymon Brown, creator of the EsquireProject.com, the self-enterprising site helping black men to eliminate barriers to personal achievement. Be sure to check out the links in the description. As always, it's a pleasure to be back with you. I'll be sure to leave the Cash App in the event that you decide to contribute towards the content. Of course, it's always greatly appreciated. And of course, I do thank you for your support in advance. The first video that I ever put out on YouTube was called The 10 Commandments of Not Falling for Women. And within that video, I was basically giving a lot of pointers to help brothers to not fall for a lot of the snares and a lot of the traps that comes along with the get to know you phase of women when they're considering them as being people whom they could possibly incorporate into their lives. So I gave a rundown of 10 things to be very much so aware of when you're in that stage. And I thought it was important to release a video not so much on the heels of that, but something that was kind of like a close cousin to it. And it's specifically for guys who deal with women socially, romantically, as they start to get older. So this is more for the guys who are, let's say, 30 up, or 30 and up rather, or probably a little bit more specifically 35 and up, who are actually dealing with women, and just to kind of give some helpful points on a few things to avoid, not so much when it comes to the female aspect, but when it comes to their own personal behaviors and their own personal mindset. So just wanted to drop a few tips on that, and we'll get right into it. So the first tip that I have is don't be less confident with younger, attractive women. So as men start to age, we can start losing our hair. We can start putting on weight around the waistline, and then we can start getting the gray hair in our beards. You may not have it in you to play basketball all day in the heat like you used to as a much younger man. And years ago, you wouldn't even leave the house until midnight to go to the club, but now that's your bedtime. So indeed, fellas, life has its seasons, but as you go through yours and you are deciding to incorporate women into your life, don't beat yourself up about how older you're getting in your conversations, particularly with younger women who are actually interested in you, by regularly focusing on your age. A lot of times when you do that, it becomes a downer to hear about how you can't do this anymore or how you wish you could still do that if you were still younger. Imagine it being akin to a woman coming to bed in a hospital gown instead of some lingerie. You see, the age gap is already apparent between you and the woman or the women that you deal with, but you don't really have to keep on bringing attention to it in an unappealing way by focusing on your personal aging in a way that makes it sound like you're going downhill. When you do this, it makes you sound a lot less confident. It's very unattractive because while you may be thinking that your age is an actual issue, it's probably one of the things that the woman found attractive about you in the first place, because she associated your maturity in years as being more secure for her. But you actually come across as less secure when you focus too much on being older in a negative way. And speaking of which, another thing that might be helpful to you is to not focus so much on how much older you are than the woman. It can be kind of charming and funny to address your age differences and to kind of tease her a little bit about her youth and about things that you were doing when she was only 10. But keep that in proportion to the dynamic that you actually have with her without it being obnoxious. And you can only really determine that based on the overall vibe between you and her as time goes by. And then eventually your age gap may end up being more or less like a running joke between the two of you that adds an element of charm. But don't make it come across like she's dating her grandfather. You know, let's just say you're 33 and she's 22 or something like that. Look at your age differences in time entered on this earth as a way to add some intrigue to the elements about life that she might find interesting. In a like manner, don't try to be so annoyingly trying to show her up by how much she doesn't know because she's much younger than you. But instead, look at the age differences as a way to mutually learn about two different worldviews and two different perspectives, which will help you blend worlds in a meaningful way where it's permissible. Now, at the same time, Don't try to act too young just because you think that it'll keep her interested in you. More than likely, you and the younger women or the younger women that you deal with have some very distinct, different interests in many areas of life. But you don't have to try to dress younger, talk younger, or act unnaturally silly just to try to be more relatable. And remember that what you both like about each other is probably what is both authentic to where you are in life. So for her, what she finds attractive is your stability as a man. And for you, what you find attractive is her enthusiasm about life. Now, at the same time, this doesn't mean being completely in the dark about popular things that are taking place in the world or that might be generally interesting to younger people in general. So you can still be up on game and having awareness of what's going on in the world without being overtly into it, just so you can make sure that you have the capacity to have that type of conversation with her. It doesn't really hurt to know of maybe two or three major things that are happening that are very popular or that are trending, like a new album that dropped, a new product that hit the market, or even some type of celebrity news story. You ain't really got to be into it. You don't have to spend time gossiping, but it doesn't hurt to just be aware of what's going on. Like a prime example with me is the other day I was walking past the McDonald's and I saw this picture of like this Travis Scott meal, and then I ended up Googling it later on, and I saw that like Travis Scott had some sort of collab with McDonald's, right? So it just took me like 3 seconds, 5 seconds to notice it. And I don't really, like, I'm not into Travis Scott's music, no, not to him or anything like that. Shout out to the brother. I for damn sure don't care about no McDonald's. But if I ever found a younger woman who I was having a conversation with, that would be a pretty easy icebreaker, something like that. Just imagine kind of taking little brief snapshots like you're looking at the front page of a newspaper, just to have a couple of things to kind of stay abreast on. And the other thing is too, when it comes to their interests, try not to spend a whole lot of time criticizing their viewpoint too early, and just try to keep it light overall and just easy going and just be an easy person to talk to. It'll be a way for you to learn more about her. You keep the conversation going, and you don't really have to know too much of anything either, but it just keeps it light, and you don't have to, again, try to do that bad habit thing of being too critical, especially if you're dealing with a younger woman. Another tip to keep in mind is to have some real projects, some real hobbies, and some real interests going on in your life. So as you get older, you should have a few things that you legitimately enjoy devoting some time to, that you're passionate about, or things that you find enjoyable. We all know the importance of securing the bag and making sure our finances are in order, but don't forget that if you are going to be dealing with women, then you should have something interesting going on in your life as well, because women like having fun. Now, you don't include these interests for the sake of getting women interested in you, but you should be doing these things for yourself already, because they contribute towards a better quality of life for you, and at the same time, in turn, they make you a more interesting guy. So what I would suggest is just a general rule of thumb is to have a passion project that means a lot to you that you're involved in, that's going to make an impact on other people. To have a subject area that you're really into, that you feel confident in talking about because you know about it, because it interests you. Have a skill that's helping you towards your personal growth and development. And then make sure, of course, that you can express yourself about your preferences when it comes to entertainment, like your genres of music or the movies you like, basic things like that. And then maybe try to include something that you just do periodically, or something that you want to get into, but you haven't really got into it yet, but you're really interested in it. Now, aside from women, one of the main benefits of having hobbies and interests is that it actually keeps you occupied outside of your routine at work, and it gives you something to take your mind off of a lot of the stresses that you could be dealing with in life. We know that stress is the silent killer, especially for black men. It's not uncommon for us to not even reach the age of 50 before we have, a major stroke or a heart attack and it's over with. So having some leisurely activities can help you kind of unwind, and again, it just adds to your overall quality of life. And then when that conversation does come up and a woman asks you what you like to do for fun or what are you into, you can legitimately have like 3 or 4 things that just come to mind that you can actually kind of express with a degree of excitement because they're real to you. Whether it's like, hey, I like doing yoga, I like boxing, I like camping, I like going on hikes, I like this type of music, that type of music. I'm working on this, I'm doing that. I just learned about, whatever, metaphysics, whatever have you, health and nutrition type stuff. Just having an overall encompassing, body of work that you're involved in that doesn't just involve punching the clock. It's cool, of course, that you always want to get that money, but there is a life outside of just only accumulating finances for ourselves, So make sure that you got yourself well rounded within that area. It'll give you some cool things to talk about, that you have some nice stuff going on in your life that you can share with her. The third tip I would say is pretty simple, which is just to accept that certain women are for you and some just are not. Understand that you should deal with women within your temperament. Deal with women that you can handle. Don't try to deal with women that you ain't got no business dealing with. I would even say that dealing with women that you can handle in terms of just the level of energy that you're willing to exert and that you think is worth exerting, that's probably even a little bit more important initially than trying to find the woman that's just going to check all the boxes for you. Because as you get older, emotional management should not be as volatile when it comes to romance as it may have been when you were much younger. And the reason is because at this stage in our lives, once we start getting up there, 30, 35, 40 years old, it should really be about trying to find peace. You're trying to find real contentment. But ultimately that peace is nothing like peace of mind for a man. And if you have had whatever dealings with women over the years, then you've had enough time to collect data about yourself on the types of women who tend to create more frustration and negative energy in your life. They contribute towards being, more peaceful to you or bringing a sense of joy to your world. So keep it simple on yourself and avoid the costly mistake that you probably made several times over the years, which is dealing with women who just don't fit your profile. Sometimes to do this, it's a good idea just to make sure that you're a part of different networks and different cultures, both domestically and internationally, that you have the freedom and the flexibility to enjoy your life in different arenas all over the place. Because a lot of times as we get older, our social circle kind of shrinks down a little bit unless we're very purposeful about establishing it. Because people, they got older with us, they moved in whatever areas they went to in life, they've done whatever they've done. A lot of people probably married, divorced, grown kids by now, all types of stuff. So it's not like socially things just fall into our lap like it was when we were younger, where you already had a place of worship to go to just by default based on your parents, a neighborhood you grew up in, a certain school, even a job. People even at the job, they kind of are there to do work, they're not really there all the time to just be hanging out and goofing off. So, well, some people are, but you get the idea. You just have to be purposeful about crafting your life socially in general. And the thing is, when you have limited options in your normal routine of life, let's just say you kind of do like the same thing, like go to work, go home, do this, do that. You only run into a certain amount of people in that routine. So it kind of narrows your view on what's really available to you out there in terms of the types of women that you could be dealing with if you choose to deal with them in whatever capacity that fits your life. And then when you do find, a woman here, a woman there, it becomes so few far and in between that you actually develop that fear of loss. And what happens is you end up inviting the wrong kind of women into your life. And then over time, you can allow them to influence your grip on yourself or your manhood by making inappropriate compromises just for the sake of having a connection as you start to get older. So at the very least, this is just my thing. I think a woman should at the very least be bringing you, the gift of peace. She should come bearing that. I'm not saying that you're looking for her to be your peace, but she should at least come bearing that gift to bring to you if she's going to be dealing with you. It's not really good to think about the next 25 to 35 years that you got left, on this earth. Black man on average lives to around 70, 69, 70 years old. I'm 36, so I'm just over more than halfway there myself at that rate. You know, not it's not really a good idea to try to spend the next half of your life or so being in a state of angst or being upset about a woman who has some sort of contention that she brings to your world. So just wanted to drop a few little pointers there, nothing major. Just want to, of course, give a shout out to everybody that's been rocking with me. It'll make 2 years this coming November since I first actually dropped my first video on YouTube. So just coming up on 2 years, and I greatly appreciate your brother's support. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be doing this. You are the reason why I create the content that I make. So definitely a lot of things will be in the works in general for me. Be sure to always, if you like, touch base with me. Try to remember to leave my email in the description. But by the way, it's info@theesquireproject.com. So make sure you go ahead and drop a line if you like. Check out the Facebook link that'll be in the description for the like page where I distribute my content along with other brothers. And as always, brothers, peace and love till next time.